I think let's go ahead and get started just so that way I think we have a lot to cover today and I'm anticipating a lot of questions. So I want to make sure that we give Kai and all of you a chance to get through all that. So let's go ahead and just jump right in and start moving on it. So hello, I am Alana Davis. I'm your host and Meetup organizer. And I work with shops to remove friction from the buying process. And my main focus is really on rescuing Shopify websites, making them more effective and attracting more visitors, providing better SEO, and increasing conversion rates, all the fraction of a cost of a full redesign. Here is a quick look at our agenda for today. This session is being recorded right now. So assuming everything works, I will be able to share the video in the next day or so. I usually get it out later this afternoon. But if you have questions as we go along, definitely put them in the chat or use the QA. If it's urgent, I'll interrupt Kai and we'll ask the question in the moment. Otherwise, we'll try to save it towards the end because I anticipate a lot of questions and I want to make sure he can get through everything. Coming up, we do have another meetup happening on April 25th. Which we're going to do another live site review, which is where you're going to get the opportunity to get actionable insights and feedback on your Shopify store. So you'll be able to submit your store and we'll be able to look at a handful of them during that time. But if you do have any topics that you want to see or areas that you want me to explore, please let me know in the feedback request that you're going to receive along with the video recording. This also really helps me to know what's working well or not so that we can make sure that we're providing a valuable resource for you. All right. Oh, that's annoying. Well, this is our sponsor slide. I don't know why it's not working, but that's okay. So I'm going to move on past it. And just a quick shout out to our sponsor, Jason LD for SEO, which transforms your SEO with rich results. A program that allows you to show search enhancements such as review stars, price, and availability in search engines such as Google Search, Bing, Pinterest, and more. The app also provides all the structured data that you need for Merchant Center. Install JSON LD for SEO today to instantly add advanced SEO features to your store. And then without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Kai, a very good friend of mine, who's going to walk us through how you can simplify your Shopify keyword research. Again, I'm so stoked. I cannot wait. So Kai, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Hey, it is a pleasure to be here. Let me pop my screen share on just so we could talk through this. So I'm Kai Davis. You might know me as your Shopify SEO guy. I'm the founder of Double Your Ecommerce, and I help Shopify stores like yours grow in Google and get more traffic. And today we're going to be talking about a topic near and dear to my heart, keyword research. But let's, demystify it a bit and just make it easier, make it a little more simpler and add a little bit of magic to it. And where do I click? There I click. So what will we learn today? Let's just quickly go through this. We're going to start off with some shared definitions for keyword research terms, languages, and concepts, just making sure we're all, speaking the same language and using the same vocabulary. We're going to talk about how you could find keyword performance information in your Google Search Console. We're going to talk about my process for finding keyword optimization opportunities in your Search Console data. And we'll end with how to close the loop between keyword research, optimization, and actually seeing the results of your optimization efforts. So I think this is going to be a lot of fun. Oh, and we're also going to talk about some free resources for keyword research, tools I use and love and recommend that you could get started using as soon as today. So again, I'm Kai Davis, your Shopify SEO guy, and yeah, let's get into it. So what exactly is keyword research anyway? Let's start with this big picture question. And the way I define it, keyword research is a way to first understand the terms, the keywords your customers are using when looking for products, services, or information online. What are the things they're searching? What are the things they're asking Google? Keyword research is a way to learn what changes to make to your homepage, your product listings, your blogs, or your collections to rank them higher and drive more traffic to them. And keyword research is a way to identify how to tailor your site's content to reach your audience in the search results. So keyword research is a really impactful part of your store. We could see here, like, it connects to your understanding of your customers, it connects to ranking higher, and it connects to the content, the actual words on your site. So what's important to know about keyword research? Well, first off, keyword research is great if you want to understand how your site is currently performing and where to focus your optimization efforts. I always think of it like using a map. Like, okay, let's look at our keywords. Let's see where we are. Let's figure out where we want to be and the path we follow to get there. So I like looking at, first and foremost, which pages on your site are currently ranking for what terms. Maybe you've got, a dozen collections. Well, what are the terms they're ranking for? That helps you know where to focus your optimization efforts. I like to look at which position those pages are ranking in. It's great to know, like, oh, this collection is ranking for this term, but it's really different if it's ranking like 5th or 50th. I think it's important to know what changes you should make to those pages, ranking for those queries to help them rank higher. And this almost always boils down to make your pages more specific to the keywords they're ranking for. And finally, I think keyword research is a great way to know what new content you could create to rank for more terms. You don't have to be limited just to like what you're ranking for today. You could use the process we're going to go through to identify new terms for new pages, new blogs, new collections. So I think it's good to sort of have a concrete example. Keyword research, it's abstract. We're talking about Google. We're talking about search engines. None of this is physical. I want us to put on our pretend caps for a second and pretend we own a chocolate store. We are the owners of Wilbur Chocolate. We've heard about this SEO thing. We've heard about this keyword research thing. We're trying to decide, well, what keywords should we target with our store? So there are a couple different types of keywords out there, and let's just go through these 4 different types and start to understand the difference. The first type is a head keyword, and this might be something short and sweet, like chocolate. Head keywords are broad, high competition keywords with high search volume. I mean, tons of people every day just go into Google and they search chocolate because they're looking for information about chocolate. Lots of people often target these head keywords, but what you need to know is they're usually too competitive to fight over. Everybody's going for them, and it just becomes sort of a cluster. The second type of keyword we have is a short tail keyword. And this could be a keyword like premium chocolate. These keywords are more specific. They have, a moderate search volume. It might not be a ton, but it is some amount. And they have some competition. These are sometimes worth competing for, but similar to a head keyword, it often can be too competitive. You have long tail keywords, and this is where I start to get excited. A long tail keyword is something like premium chocolate Easter baskets. These are highly targeted, low competition keywords with a lower search volume, but a high purchase intent, which means that people who search for something like this, like premium chocolate Easter baskets, they're probably in a buying mood. They're saying like, oh, Easter's in a few weeks. I need to get something for my friend, my family, my girlfriend, whatever. And so they're searching a long tail keyword like this to find exactly what they're looking for. Beyond that, you also have what are called niche keywords. And that might be something like vegan premium chocolate Easter basket gifts. These are highly specialized keywords targeting a specific subcategory or interest group in your broader market. It's essentially like a laser targeted keyword. We're saying, oh, we got this product, it's a vegan chocolate Easter basket. Oh, we want to rank not for chocolate, but we want to rank for something niche and specific to that product. So big picture, zooming out, 1 and 2 word keywords, head keywords and short tail keywords, these are just too competitive for your store really to rank. So, we're Wilbur Chocolate. We sell chocolate online, at least we're pretending to. Let's go ahead and just take a live look at Google for chocolate and premium chocolate, just so we could see, well, what is it like? What do these search results look like? So we'll just go to Google. I'm just going to search chocolate. And what exactly comes up? So at the top, we have the website wikipedia.com. We have this people also ask section. We have the small website, you might have heard them before. They're a new entry, walmart.com, the startup amazon.com, the website Encyclopedia Britannica. I always butcher the name Gardelli, Lind, Godiva. As we could see, like these are some premium, pretty established brands. Like, we're Wilbur Chocolate, we're small, we got one store. Are we really going to rank like in the top 10 for chocolate? Is Google going to say, oh, Wilbur, you're more relevant than Wikipedia? The answer is no. These keywords are just too competitive. And let's look at another example. Let's just search premium chocolate. So you have a sponsored result, another sponsored result, the small store Walmart.com, the small store Amazon.com, the NewYorkTimes.com. Again, like these sites ranking here are just so established that it becomes hard for a smaller e-commerce store to rank for these more competitive terms like chocolate or premium chocolate. Really, you want to be thinking about keywords in this way. You want to be targeting long tail keywords, like in our example here of premium chocolate Easter baskets. These are much more specific and much more niche and less competitive, which means it'll be easier for your store to rank there and easier for customers to find you in the Google search results. You won't be fighting with like Wikipedia and Godiva chocolate. You'll be fighting with more niche players. I also think it's really valuable for your store to focus on niche keywords, something ultra specific like vegan premium chocolate Easter basket gifts. It's a mouthful, but if you're a store that sells vegan chocolate or vegan Easter baskets, man, those folks who are searching for something like this, they're literally looking for exactly your store. So by optimizing for those keywords, you're going to be found in the search results right where people are looking for you. And again, as a bottom line, more specific niche long tail keywords, they're better for you. They're lower volume, they're easier for you to rank, and they're just going to be a better time. Really, your competitive advantage as a Shopify store is that you can niche down to more specific keywords like this. Amazon, Walmart, these large players, they're kind of like battleships. It takes a while for them to like turn and focus on something. You're nimble, you're small. You could say, hey, yeah, we sell vegan chocolate. Oh, let's optimize for these more niche, more long tail keywords and get where our larger competition can't. So big picture, if you take one thing away from this webinar, and I hope you take more than one thing away, you want to be focusing on long tail keywords and you want to be focusing on niche keywords. Head keywords, short tail keywords, they're just too competitive. So you might see my cat jump on the desk in a second. Don't worry, she is fully trained as an SEO, so she's here to help. So I want us to, exit out of this presentation for a couple moments, and I want us to take a look at a live demo. We're going to look at Google Search Console using Alana's actual data to see what, cattail, to see what results you could see in there. And, oh, come on over here, Cocoa Bear. To see what results we could see in there and what insights we could start to pull out of Search Console. And then we're going to look at a couple cool ways to access this data in a more actionable way. So we're just going to go over here to Search Console. And I'm just going to talk through quickly what we see here. So this is Google Search Console. It's a free tool. Google puts it out. You could add it to your website in your Shopify store for free. I think it's absolutely amazing. I mean, it just runs in the background. It's almost like a dashboard for your car. It tells you how your site is performing, if there are health issues. But what I really love is this performance area, and we're going to click into this here. This is a report that just tells you some big picture, high value information for your store. And the reason I'm using Alana's site here is Alana actually migrated to Shopify very recently. I think started February or so.
Yeah, February.
And so, while her content might not quite be the same e-commerce shape that yours is in the audience, dear attendee, it at least lets us look at a Shopify store in Search Console and start to see the different types of insights we could pull out of it. So I'm just going to talk through this page from the top to the bottom to familiarize you with it. And then we're going to dive a little deeper into it. So this is the performance tab in search results. Up here, there's just some preset filters, search type web. Hey, just show us folks searching on the web and the date for the last 3 months. Here we see a little graph. It shows total clicks over time. That's the blue line. It shows total impressions. Those are views of Alana's pages in the search results. And if we toggle on average position, it also shows position over time. It's a neat graph to see, but really it's not that actionable. Like if you see stuff going down and to the right, you're like, oh, I'm not getting as much traffic. That's actionable, but this isn't really what I wanted to focus on. What I want to focus on is this table down here. And I'm just going to expand my browser window a bit. So this is a cool table. It's a big spreadsheet, so my apologies. We'll get to some more actionable stuff in a little bit, but this is a cool report in Google Search Console because it helps us see, for Alana's site or for your site, well, what are the queries, the actual searches bringing people to your store? And here we could see here over the last 3 months, a query like transfer domain from Squarespace to Shopify That's brought 154 clicks to Alana's site to one of her guides on exactly that topic. Likewise, we could see the query Shopify SEO hidden meta field. We could see over here on the right, Alana's ranking just about first for that, and it's brought 53 clicks to her site. So this is an interesting report because it starts to close that loop. Hey, I've got a Shopify store. I'm doing some SEO. Well, what queries are actually bringing people to my site? What are getting clicks? What are getting impressions? And so here we're able to see that data. But really, it's only part of the picture because we can't quite see like, oh, well, what pages were generating these clicks for these queries? We can click on the Pages tab here, and it shows us the other half of the data. Here's a list of all the pages on Alana's site over the last 3 months that have gotten clicks from web searches. And so this is pretty cool. Like, oh, there's that transfer Squarespace domain to Shopify one, 771 clicks in total. Hidden products from search engine using meta fields in Shopify, 352 in total. But again, we can't really tie the loop together and say, oh, this page and this query produced this many clicks. And Search Console even offers an export feature up here, and we're just going to play around with that. And so, we clicked one button and it pushed us over to Google Sheets. And this shows us another reflection of that data. We have this Queries tab. I'm just going to expand the columns here. And it shows us that queries report we were looking at before. These are the keywords, the searches that brought people to Alana's site. And this is the Pages tab. Well, these are the pages that people were brought to on Alana's site. But again, we aren't able to sort of mix it together. We can't say, hey, just for this page, well, show me the resources, show me the queries that were bringing people to it. What I want to show you next is a free plugin called Search Analytics for Sheets that lets you pull data out of Search Console in a different manner and starts to unify it together, and it makes it much more actionable. So we're going to pop over here for a second. I'm just going to open up this demo sheet. Now, I've already installed this plugin called Search Analytics for Sheets. We'll send out a link after the webinar, but it's a free plugin. It connects to Google Sheets, and it lets you pull in data from your Search Console account. So I'm just going to get it fired up here. We click Extensions, open Sidebar, chugs for a couple seconds. I joke it's squirrel powered, and so if it hangs, we have the squirrels, running very fast in their wheels. We're going to select Alana's site here. So this is the sidebar, and we just have a couple settings. We could say, hey, what site do we want to pull from? What date range? We're only going to look at the last month, so I'm just going to set that to February 16th. We have search type. We're going to leave that for web. We're going to choose group by. We want to select page and query. So this plugin sort of unifies that data for us. It's going to be cool for a definition of cool when we see it in a second. Rows returned 25,000. And result sheet, we're just going to have it put into the active sheet, this current sheet. And we click request data. And again, the squirrels are chugging in the background, spinning up their wheels. And here we get one of my favorite reports. And so let me just expand these columns. So before, when I was complaining about Search Console, not unifying this data, not telling you the page and the query that brought the clicks, well, Search Analytics for Sheet gives you that superpower. And so now here again, it's a spreadsheet, but let's just talk through this. In the leftmost column, we have the individual page. In column B, we have the query. In column C, we have clicks. So looking at an individual row, like the one I've just highlighted, we could see, oh, this specific query, transfer domain from Squarespace to Shopify, in the last month has ranked an average position of first, 1.0, and brought 48 clicks to this specific page. And so I love this report just because it lets us see finally in one spot which pages and which queries have brought clicks to your Shopify store and what position are you in for those queries. So this alone, I think, is a massive level up for any Shopify store. If you're trying to close the loop and connect the dots on your SEO strategy, Search Console is wonderful, but Search Analytics for Sheets lets you finally see, hey, these pages and these queries have brought me this traffic. And then you're able to just go through and find optimization opportunities. Like I'm selecting row 19 here. It's for Alana's product page for JSON LD for SEO. We could see it's ranking 7th for the query JSON LD for SEO. And so suddenly we could be like, oh, there's a keyword opportunity. It'd be great if that was ranking 6th or 5th And so because we've unified the data in this way, we're able to start seeing more actionable insights from it. But even that said, like, this is a big old spreadsheet to crawl through. Like, I think this is 14,000 rows of data. My brain is melting out of my ears as we look at it. That's too much data for most Shopify stores. That's too much data for most people to look at. And so one thing I've worked on over the past few years, as I've worked as an SEO consultant, as I've put together resources, as I've done SEO opportunity reports for my clients, is a small spreadsheet with a couple scripts in it that takes this data and just breaks it down into a more actionable presentation. And so we're going to walk through a quick demo of that just so you could see the different ways we could look at this Search Console data, and then how you could use this to surface high impact, quick win opportunities for your keyword optimization. So I'm going to pop back here. We're going to open up my keyword magic spreadsheet. I'm just closing a couple tabs here. And so we're on the starting page. We're going to do the same step as before and pull out Alana's Search Console data. Open up Search Analytics for Sheets. Select Alana Davis's website. And we'll do that same date range, just February 16th until today, or until March 16th. Group by page and query. And select Active Sheet, just so it goes into this Input tab. Then we click Request Data, and the squirrel will start spinning in the background. And so again, this is the same spreadsheet we were looking at before, the same output. We have the pages in the left column, we have queries, we have clicks, impressions, click-through rate, and position. This is what you get out of the box with Search Analytics for Sheets and Google Search Console data. What I want to do is take you through a couple different filtered views of this data, just so we could start to see how it's actionable and relevant. And then we're going to get to what I think of as the most exciting tab of the spreadsheet. That is a sentence I will forever regret saying, but we'll get to the most exciting tab of the spreadsheet, one that surfaces quick win opportunities. Usually that's the first page we look at, or I look at when I'm using this on a client project. But so you could understand how this all comes together, we're going to look at, a couple different tabs here, start putting it together in your mind so you could see how this filtered view of quick wins really comes together. So we click into the GSC Clicks tab, and this is filtered to just show us, let me scroll around here, just show us queries that have resulted in clicks to Alana's website. And we see here over the last month, I'm just scrolling down, there's about 130. And so on that first report, we had 13,000, oh my gosh, huge number, different queries and pages to look through. Here it's filtered just to clicks. And so this helps us see, well, what are the pages and queries that are actually bringing people to Alana's website? We see that Squarespace to Shopify article is performing well. It's mentioned here a number of times. Shopify SEO hidden meta field for the hiding products from search engines page. And this just helps us, connect those dots on clicks. Ooh, what pages has Alana spent time creating that actually are getting clicks from Google? What pages have you spent time creating on your store that are actually getting clicks from Google? This filtered view helps us answer that question. Likewise, this impressions tab, this just shows us the keywords, the queries that are getting the most impressions. And so we could see here, we have this query, Shopify SEO, very relevant for Alana's business. It got around 4,000 impressions over the last month. So 4,000 views in Google search results, but no clicks. She's ranking an average position of 56th or so. So, page 5.5. This helps us see, there's some opportunities for queries she might be ranking low for that are getting impressions, but not clicks. Or maybe there's some SEO optimization she could do here to rank higher for, SEO Shopify or Shopify SEO or rich results test. So this tab is interesting just to help us see where are we getting visibility, but not necessarily getting clicks? Another opportunity for optimization. This tab here filters just to Alana's homepage. And so I like this because it helps us understand what keywords is the homepage ranking for that are bringing in traffic. And we see here, these clicks are mostly around her name, Alana Davis, which makes a lot of sense. The next two tabs we're going to look at, the data might not be that resonant, again, we're on Shopify. Alana's store is on Shopify, but she doesn't have a large number of collections or products. So these next two tabs on collections and products, we might go through them quickly, but blogs is where we're going to start to see a lot of actionable information for her store. So we click into collections and no results found, no opportunities there. We click into products and, oh, it's chugging in the background. Similarly, no opportunities found.
Just a quick question if I can. So you would recommend for the merchants that are watching right now that they would spend their time on collections and products versus me, because a lot of my content is around blogs. So for them, they would spend most of their time there. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. Yeah, with a Shopify store selling products, collections and collection SEO are going to be one of your major opportunities to target more niche keywords or long tail keywords. Blogs potentially also, but I've worked with 50 or 60 Shopify stores on keyword analysis like this over the last 2 years or so, and collections time and time again, and products as well, come up as those top most impactful opportunities. So let me click into here. We actually have a little bug I was hoping we didn't run into. So I'm just taking a quick look at my query here. Sorry for the live bug fixing, but 1 second here. Well, this should be showing us a list of the different blogs on Alana's site, but I'm just curious why it's not pulling that up. While I try to diagnose this, Alana, could you tell us a little bit about your approach for blog content creation, and that'll connect the loops as we see the keyword opportunities here?
Yeah. So one of the things that I do actually, the reason why, for example, the transferring to Squarespace site showed up so much, or that page showed up so much, is because I actually went and I looked to see what people were searching for. And I found that as a long tail keyword to transfer your domain from Squarespace to Shopify. And then I ended up creating a blog post that addressed exactly that. And so that is what helps me to rank so high for that particular page. But the other thing that I do often is I answer questions from my customers and I put them into a blog post directly. So that way, when other people are searching for the exact same questions, I'm hopefully answering their questions instead of doing a one-on-one request.
And I love that approach. I think, like, zooming out big picture for Shopify stores, one of the biggest content creation opportunities is, hey, take those questions that people are asking you. Maybe it's a pre-sale question, maybe it's a support question, and write an article about it. Chances are, if folks are emailing you saying like, hey, I want to buy your chocolate, is it vegan? Well, there's folks wondering that who aren't emailing you. So it's great content, and you could often reuse literally the support email you're sending as that blog content. And over time, it could bring you in a trickle of very relevant traffic. So I was able to get that.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. I was going to say exactly. That's exactly how it is. Yeah.
So I was able to get that bug sorted out. My apologies for the live bug fixing. But so this is now a filtered view that just shows queries and pages for the blogs on Alana's site. And so as we could see here, there's a lot of different content opportunities that are surfaced here. There's just a ton of queries that are relevant and valuable, but we still have to, sift through the data. We could see here, there's a bunch of posts she's ranking, average position of first for. Some she's ranking like Shopify Google Analytics 80th for. So this isn't super actionable yet. It's useful. It helps us see, oh, these are the queries and clicks that are bringing people into her site, but it doesn't necessarily say, oh, these are the exact pages you should focus on to optimize your store. And that's the exciting tab I want to take to you next. So we've talked about, a filtered view that just shows us, hey, this is where clicks are coming from. This is where impressions are coming from. These are clicks to, just the homepage or collections or blogs. But this filtered view here, this is what I love. Let me just adjust these columns a little bit. This just breaks down and highlights the quick win keyword opportunities for the existing content on Alana's site. And it has a script in the background that just looks at some parameters and attributes and says, oh, these are the ones that seem the most valuable, the best opportunities to focus on. And so we see here, here's a product opportunity for the query Jason LD for SEO. She's ranking 7.3 for it. Well, hey, with some keyword optimization, by focusing on that page, maybe it could move up to 6th or 5th or 4th. We have a blog article ranking seventh, 7.5 here for the query Shopify remove collections from URL, which is a really common question. Like, hey, I don't want it to say /collections. What exactly should I do? So we could see this piece of content that Alana put out, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, is already starting to rank well for this term. It's on the first page, it's 7th, and it's starting to earn clicks. So I like, whenever I work on an SEO opportunity report or a keyword project with a client, using a process like this just to sift down from, that big bucket of 15,000 different terms in Google Search Console to a much more actionable list. I mean, here's row 12, Google Merchant Center Shopify. It's a really relevant keyword for Alana and her JSON LD app, which helps you with Google Merchant Center data. She's ranking 13th for it. With some keyword optimization on that article, maybe she moves up to 12th, maybe 11th, maybe 9th. And so really, this quick wins tab can become a punch list for your on-site optimization. You have a Shopify store, you have some products, some collections, some blogs. With this data, you're able to say like, oh, maybe I got 100 different pages. These 10, they're the quick wins. That's what I should focus my time, my effort, my optimization energy on. And so, yeah, this is just a nice piece of magic, a nice little spreadsheet and a great resource to help you better understand the Search Console opportunities. And I have a copy of this I'm going to share with you, but we'll get to that in a few minutes.
Can I interrupt for a couple of questions on
Please,
this specific
yeah.
one? We had 2 of them come in really quickly, so I just wanted to make sure we address it. There's questions around the order of importance on this particular sheet. Can you address that?
Yeah, like, is it sorted in order of importance? Is this like start here, go here?
Or how do you decide where to start? Yeah.
That's a really good question. And the honest answer is it's a little bit squishy. And I'm happy you asked this because it helps us demo something that I love demoing. So usually when I get to something like this, like how do we decide, like, is JSON LD for SEO the right opportunity? Is it Shopify structured data? Is it boardwalk reviews? Well, step one is just reading through these quick wins and applying your insight as the store owner, as the person who understands your market and your customers, and be like, this keyword, I'm just going to bold it, for example, JSON LD for SEO, very relevant. Boardwalk reviews, maybe not that relevant. So there is a human element, doing a pass on this data and following your instincts, following what you know about your market. Oh, this topic, that's really relevant, or this keyword seems more relevant. Once you do that pass, maybe you identify, I'm just going to bold a couple here, JSON LD for SEO, Shopify structured data, and Shopify collection SEO. What I like doing is then literally just Googling for that term. And so we're going to do that ourselves. We're going to go to Google. We're just going to search for JSON LD for SEO. And I like just manually going through the search results and seeing until we find our site. And we could see Alana's site right here. And it looks like she's actually ranking, let's just do a quick count. We have her Shopify app on shopify.com first. We have Google, Moz, Ignite Visibility, and then Alana. And so she's actually 5th, not 7th. So just as a quick digression, we can see that average position. That's the average over time, not necessarily today. But the flow I like is you do this manual review. You just follow your hunch. Oh, this keyword seems relevant. You Google for it and just look to see, well, who's outranking me? In this case, like, Google.com is a large established website. You probably aren't going to outrank Google for JSON LD for SEO in the coming years. But Ignite Visibility, they're, a medium weight competitor. They're an agency out there. They're similar to Alana. Maybe there's a chance of outranking them. So part of this optimization process is Googling for these terms, looking at the search results, seeing who's 1, 2, maybe 3 spaces above you, and asking yourself, well, could we outrank them? We could go deeper into the process. We won't go too far deep, but what I like doing is opening up that content, reading through it, comparing and contrasting it with my own or Alana's content in this case, and just asking ourselves like, okay, looking at their content and looking at our content, can we make ours better? Can we make ours better than theirs? If so, that's then a keyword in a page I focus on optimizing. Alana, anything I could clarify about that process or that flow, or does that help give some insight into how you attack this spreadsheet? It's not necessarily like a 1 to 10 list, but it's the top opportunities for you to then sift through and say, oh, this one seems relevant, that one not so much.
No, I think that what you did explained it perfectly. There is still some questions around like what exactly are we looking at? How do you get these quick wins? And I'm going to address it a little bit if I can, and then Kai, feel free to expand. He has a formula that will tell him that's built into this spreadsheet that tells him, hey, this is an achievable keyword that you can improve upon. Is that correct, Kai?
That's spot on. So going into the nuts and bolts of it, what I've discovered over the last decade or so of SEO is when you're looking at a keyword list, and I'm just going to pop back to the initial Google export, you have a bunch of different keywords here, and I'm looking at the position column, like you have some in first, have some in 10th, you have some in 79th. It's such a huge range. The best keywords to focus on are actually, for this optimization, are actually in this range of, it's a little squishy, but think of it as like position 5 to position 25. With some work, maybe you're ranking 25th, you could move on up, you could get to 19th, you could get to 10th. If you're ranking like 90th, you probably aren't going to be able to make your way up without a lot of time and a lot of luck. So I have a formula that's running here. It's just a query formula that says like, okay, hey, let's just look at pages from this data export from Search Console that meet this criteria. Gets at least maybe 1 click, gets at least this many impressions. Average position is between, say, 5 and 20. And so it takes that data and just sifts it down from the 14,000 or so initial ones to, let me see here, a few hundred different pages. And so this still is a lot to go through, but you're able to go from the top down. You don't have to optimize all of them at once. I'll often look at this and say, okay, let me look at, just the top ones that are getting clicks. Maybe it's the top 20 or so. Which 3 or 4 pages of those do I want to focus on first this month or this quarter? Then I'll set aside the spreadsheet and just focus on that keyword optimization, rewrite the content, optimize the pages. Then a month or so later, I'll come back and go through this process again and say, oh, maybe we moved up, or maybe I've identified a different keyword. But I think of it as a loop here where you're not saying, oh, I'm going to tackle all of these quick wins. You're using this to surface some insights, cherry pick the ones that seem most relevant or the best opportunities, or you just know a lot about. Like Alana knows a ton about JSON LD and Shopify collection SEO. So maybe those are topics that she just has a natural affinity for. And it's like, oh, let's start optimizing those before we start optimizing like boardwalk reviews, which might be more of a squishy one.
Yeah, so I think ultimately, like, there is no right answer as to which ones you chase after. And so if you go after one that you're ranking 80th for, it's going to be a lot longer of a slog for you to get that up to a more manageable position. But based on these quick wins, like, you have ones that are attainable for you that you can actually see the needle moving, and it'll actually be worth your while, as opposed to tackling something that's so far down that if you get an extra click, it's probably not going to make a difference.
Bingo. Yeah. But just looking at this data, like if you moved up from 7th to say 5th for JSON LD for SEO, that will be getting you more clicks. And so these quick wins, it's sort of the higher impact opportunities for a store. It's definitely not, an exhaustive list or like focus on just these 10, but it sifts through the data and helps you surface like, okay, these are the ones that seem most likely. Start your analysis here. Start looking through these pages and queries, and then decide which of these pages ranking on the cusp. We could see here, they're between 7th and 15th or so. Which of these pages make sense to focus on first? Do some optimization, see if your keyword rankings move up, and then continue forward. But it is squishy. There's no sort of definite answer. Absolutely this page in SEO. When I work with my clients on SEO projects, really the value I add, the value my clients tell me I add is taking all of this data from all these different tools, Search Console, Screaming Frog, Google Analytics, Shopify, your content, your competitors, pulling it all together, sifting through it and saying like, okay, I looked at 10,000 different data points. These are the 5 things you need to care about. And that's how I like using this quick win spreadsheet. It lets us sift through and go from like, oh, we got 14,000 keywords and queries here to, oh, we still have a couple hundred on the sheet, but at least we know they're the more impactful ones. They're quicker wins. They're ones where with some work, maybe we go from 11th to 7th.
I love this. This is like one of my favorite things right here. It's just, you don't have to get rid of all the noise of all the other pages and all the other rankings and just focus on the ones that you can actually do something about. I love it.
Bingo, bingo. Any other question we should tackle now, or should I move on?
We've got lots of questions, but I wanted to provide some clarity because Renee just asked a question about this quick wins piece. So the very first tab in this spreadsheet and the one that we looked at previously, that's from the analytics plugin. The rest of this is part of Kai's magic spreadsheet that he has that he'll give you a link for at the end.
Bingo. Yeah, the tab we're looking at right here, the GSC input, this is all the data from Google Search Console. And the quick wins tab, that does that magic on it. And yeah, I'll be sharing a link shortly, just so for free, you can make a copy of this and play around with it and start to service some opportunities for your store. Perfect. I'm going to swap back to the presentation here. So we talked through the live demo. We looked at Alana's store and data, and we started answering this question, but I'll dive into it a bit more. So what exactly are you supposed to do with keyword insights? Like, it's one thing to say like, oh, JSON LD, that's a quick win. Let's talk a little bit about that optimization loop. So the first thing you want to do is read your page for that keyword, for that query. If, to return to our chocolate example, we have a page ranking for vegan chocolate Easter baskets. Well, we should first things first, Google that phrase, find our page and read through it. Is it relevant? Is it good? Could it be better? Are you missing stuff? Is it actually not about vegan chocolate Easter baskets? And Google is confused. Like, a manual review is one of the most impactful parts. No tool can really do it for you. You need to take a look yourself. Past that, the most valuable thing you could do is look at those competing pages. SEO does not happen in a vacuum. SEO is about creating content that's as good as or better than the competing content out there. So you find a query, you see one of these quick wins, Google it, find your page and look at the people ranking 1, 2, or 3 spots above you, just so you know, oh, let's take a look at the neighbors. What are they doing? How are they ranking there? What inspiration can we take from their approach? And then finally, once you've looked at your page and your competing pages, you want to optimize your page. Make it more specific to that keyword. Make it more relevant to that keyword. That usually looks like adjusting the SEO title and headline, refreshing the page content, making it more relevant, maybe building links from other pages on your site to it. But really, as you identify these insights, this is the loop to go through. Read your page, look at the competing pages for that query, and then optimize your page. And how are you supposed to track keyword changes? This is a spot that Google Search Console is so on. I mean, popping back to that keyword magic spreadsheet, like, yeah, we could see here you're ranking like 2.7 for this query. And sure, in a month, we could do this again and manually compare it. But honestly, that's boring. It takes so much time. And I've tried it before. By month 3, I'm like, no, I'm gonna do something other than SEO. This is just too exhausting. I want to show you another free tool that's quickly become one of my favorite. It's called Free Google Rank Tracker by SEO Testing. We're going to log in here. It should remember me. There we, oh, it did not remember me. Let me just grab my password quickly. But I love this tool because it's 100% free. It tracks your keywords for you. It plugs into Google Search Console. It's a tool I've wished has been out there for years. And finally, somebody made it. And so once I remember my own password, we will log in here and
while you're doing that, I will add, I also use this on Kai's recommendation. And the thing I love about it is that there was some keywords that I rank for, but I don't care about. And so I didn't want to track them. And so I stopped paying attention to it because of this. And I could just focus on the ones that I really wanted to focus on.
And that's the power of free rank tracker. So we're actually going to add Alana's site, connect it to Search Console, and just add a couple keywords so you could see, I'm going to use the word glory, see it in all its glory. I love this tool. So it's really simple. We click add website once we log in. It just has you authorize like, oh, this is my Google account. Behind the scenes, that's how it knows, oh, these are the Search Console accounts you have access to. We just authorize its access. Then it says, hey, what website do you want to add? And we could see Alana Davis right here. And so we'll select it and click add site. Then it does some magic in the background. It says, hey, Search Console, what keywords is, what queries is Alana's website ranking for? And we could recognize some here already. Transfer domain from Squarespace to Shopify, Shopify SEO hidden meta field. I'm clicking on them just to select them. Alana Davis and Jason LD Shopify. We'll just use those 4 to start. Then we just click add keywords. Does a little magic in the background. It's pulling in all that data. Again, it's squirrel powered, so it takes a few seconds for it to get running. And then we're here on a report. And I think like it's pretty clean, and it helps us just understand like for this site, for alanadavis.com, for the keywords in this keyword list, the 4 we're tracking, well, what's change been? We could see up here, what's improved and declined, but then down here in the table, we could see actual changes. We have a latest position column. So we could see, oh, Jason LD for Shopify, you're ranking 8th. Daily change, you've dropped 5 positions. Here it shows us the 7-day average, the 30-day average, the 90-day average, and the year average. So you're able to see over time, oh, a year ago, you were averaging 4.3. Well, 7-day average, you're averaging 3.4. So stuff is going up, but it looks like there's been some daily change here. You've dropped, and at least through this Search Console data, your latest position is 8th. So I love this because, again, we just clicked a couple buttons. We selected some keywords, and now we have this rank tracker running. And so if we logged into this in a week, a month, or a year, we'd be able to see that change in performance over time. And you could add more keywords anytime. You click add keywords. You could type in a list. And click add. It chugs for a couple seconds, and then it'll add it to that list. So again, I can't say I love this tool enough. I love this tool because it just lets you easily and quickly see changes in ranking over time. And so for your Shopify store, as you're identifying these keywords, oops, wrong tab, as you're identifying these keywords and choosing to work on like Shopify SEO.hidden or Jason LD for SEO, the free rank tracker just lets you monitor that change in performance over time, pulling your actual Search Console data. So it's, as close to the real deal as possible. So again, I love this tool. It's free. It lets you close that loop on your keyword optimization and just know, oh, I was working on this keyword, and 2 months later, we moved up 3 positions. That's wonderful. We now rank for vegan chocolate Easter baskets. Go us. Now let me just find my page turner here. So I want to give my Keyword Magic spreadsheet to you for free as a gift for attending this webinar. And now or after this webinar, Alana will send out a link to it. You could just go to doubleYourEcommerce.com/magic. If I could click my own link here. And you'll land on a little page that just talks a little bit about it. And if you scroll down to the bottom, just put your email address and name in this form down here, and you'll instantly be redirected to a page with instructions on accessing the Keyword Magic spreadsheet, making a copy, setting it up, and you'll get a small demo video of me using it just so you know, oh, click here, and then you get the data. But yeah, free copy, free resource for you. I hope you enjoy it, and it gives you some insights into like, oh, I should focus on these keywords for my store. A couple keyword research tools we touched on that I just want to highlight again. So we have my magic spreadsheet. You could grab a copy at doubleYourEcommerce.com/magic. We have Google's Search Console. That's Google's free tool that tracks your keyword performance and rankings. You should absolutely be running it. You could get it at the Search Console website. And we have Search Analytics for Sheets. That's a freemium Google Sheets plugin. That's what let us pull that Google Search Console data and put it into Google Sheets. It's freemium, so you could use it on the free plan. That's what I still use. And they recently added a pay plan. So if you want to, you could pay and get access to more data. And finally, we have Rank Tracker. That's the free keyword tracker we just looked at that plugs into Google Search Console and shows us keyword ranking performance changes over time. These 4 tools together, my spreadsheet, Search Console, Search Analytics for Sheets, and Rank Tracker, really it gives you what you need to do this keyword optimization process on your own. Search Console will track it for you. My magic spreadsheet will start to highlight those quick wins, and Rank Tracker will close the loop. As you optimize those pages, you'll be able to see, oh, week by week, month by month, our rankings are improving. So I want to pause for questions here. I see there's a number of things in the chat, and yeah, I'd love to answer whatever questions I can about this process or keyword research and optimization.
I love it. Thank you so much. Yeah, we have lots of questions, so I'm going to try to get through them all. And we do have some extra time. I purposely made this one a little bit longer, so if you have other questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Going back to the keywords, we were talking about Easter baskets. The question is, since Easter basket is a limited time, should it be on the page all year anyways, or do you change it for the seasons? And how do you handle if you were to like take it down and then put it back up?
You absolutely want to keep it up. It could send conflicting. So let's pretend we're the chocolate store. Easter's coming up. We have our vegan Easter basket collection. And then suddenly it's June and we're like, do we still want this collection up? What do we nuke the collection? What do we do about it? What I found, what I've read, what I've heard about from SEOs is you actually want to keep that page up. If you take it down, if you redirect it, suddenly that's saying to Google, oh, this page about vegan chocolate Easter baskets, it's no longer active. It's no longer relevant. And so next year, February rolls around and you're like, oh, time to spin up that collection again. You're going to be at a disadvantage. It's going to look like to Google, like we had the page, we didn't have the page, don't go to it. We have the page, and that will hurt your SEO. The best thing to do, keep that collection up. So, maybe it's November. We still have that vegan chocolate Easter basket collection, but maybe there are no products in it. And we've updated the collection description to say, hey, we're going to be adding products to this collection when we get closer to Easter. Toss your email in this form and we'll notify you as soon as they are available. That way you cover all your bases. The page is still there. Google still sees it. If visitors arrive there, they receive relevant messaging, then they get on your email list. So when you're like, oh, our Easter baskets are ready, you have a pre-built list of folks who are like, yo, I want to buy those chocolate Easter baskets. Please take my money. And ideally, you make some more sales.
This question just popped up, but I'm going to answer it or ask it, I guess, because it's related. With regards to dead links or dead products that you're no longer selling. Same thing with whether or not you have the collection. For me personally, I would never take them down unless they are officially dead. But in the event that they are dead, you always want to redirect. But Kai, what's your solution for redirecting? Where do you redirect to? Do you redirect to another product? Do you read or a collection or the homepage? What do you do?
It's I know I say it's squishy a lot, but this is a case where it's squishy and there's no best path. I think of it with different factors. So we take down this product. We're like, okay, we're never stocking this again. What do we do? If you have a similar product for sale, we discontinued version 2. Now we have version 3 of our Easter basket. Redirect to that most relevant product. So if somebody follows, a link from a blog post, they land on the most relevant thing for them. That's not the case if you're like, we're not selling vegan Easter baskets. Now we're selling this different type. I recommend redirecting. I call it up. And so like we've got the product, it's in a collection. Well, you killed this product, redirect it up to the collection. So if somebody follows this old link, they don't land on a, hey, this page has vanished page. They land on a relevant collection. So maybe that's the Easter basket collection, to use that comparison. The final point I'll share is if it's a weird case where you're like, we discontinued this product, we have a bunch of links pointing to it, there's no relevant product. There's no relevant collection. Yeah, redirect it to your homepage. It's not ideal, but it's fine. It won't hurt your site too much. But the best thing to do really is redirect to a relevant product or redirect to a relevant collection. Redirecting to the homepage is that last case fallback that I use when it's like, we don't really have a spot to put this. We don't want the page to go nowhere. Let's just shove it to the homepage and hope it all works out.
And then we have a question on the collection name itself. So in the URL and the name that you assign it, does that have any importance to SEO?
So we're talking about, just so I could clarify, like the handle, the bit in the URL itself, like /collection /Easter baskets.
Well, but so Shopify defaults to whatever you name it. So like if you name it, Easter baskets, and then that would also be in your URL. But then if you change the name, but that you don't change the URL, do either of those have a factor within SEO?
Not really. There's a thing you could accidentally do that isn't great for SEO. And so we'll touch on that. When you change the URL for a page, so like we have a collection, it's /Easter baskets. Now we changed it to /vegan Easter baskets. Google sees that as a whole new page and will often sort of reset the SEO on that page. So if you're in the situation where you're like, oh, we set up this collection, the SEO title or the name or the heading is incorrect, feel free to update them. The URL stays the same. Even if there's like a little bit of a mismatch there, that's fine. That won't hurt you at all. In fact, talking with more advanced SEOs, the current thinking seems to be Google uses the URL as part of the process where it's like, what is this page about? Let's try to understand it. So it'll look at the URL and be like, oh, you mentioned vegan Easter baskets there, probably about vegan Easter baskets. But when it comes to ranking the page itself, it seems like that URL doesn't have any impact. So I think of it more as a customer experience thing. You want to make sure you have clean, pretty, usable URLs. The SEO factor is more like, does it make sense? Is it 1 or 2 words and not like 40 keywords in a big row? Beyond that, there's not really a lot of optimization there. Name the collection, name that URL, be it a product or a collection or whatever, something clean and simple. Mention the keyword if you can, but don't stress yourself out too much about it. Like, yeah, let's use a relevant example. I sure could have titled that, /magic page /keyword research template for Shopify Google Search Console, but it's a mouthful and it's not useful for you as the customer. Something clean and simple always wins.
Yeah, if we go back to the example that I had for transferring your domain from Squarespace to Shopify, that was in my URL, and it is still the name of the blog post itself. But I don't think that absolutely had any factor in it. It was because I mentioned it a bajillion times inside the content. That's how it ranked so well. So yeah, I agree. I don't think that has any major factor in there for you.
The major factors really, if we boiled it down, are like the SEO title for your page, the thing that shows up in the tab and in the Google search results, the headline on the page. This could be a product, a collection, a blog post, whatever. It's all similar. The content in the page itself. Those 3 are the main things Google looks at. And like, yeah, we could get into the nitty gritty of like, oh, what if I optimize my image URLs or the alt text? Don't worry about that. Don't stress about that. It's almost like dieting, like eat good food that's healthy for you. End of list. Yeah, there's tons of tiny optimizations. Start there, move your body, drink water, eat good food. When it comes to SEO, it's the same. Make it clean, make it useful, make sure you have relevant information in the title, the headline, and the body content. Forget about all those like tiny optimizations. They won't really make a difference.
Awesome. And then is sharing the questions and answers in the blog better than an FAQ page for purposes of SEO?
Oh,
this is one of my favorite questions, I think.
This is a really good question. Let me think on this. I don't think there's a better. I think it depends on your products, your market, and your knowledge of SEO and your content. At a minimum, blog post is great. It gets the content up there. It's indexable. It's usable. Over time, I could see value in sort of like migrating relevant questions. Oh, we posted this question to the blog about our vegan chocolate Easter basket product. It gets a ton of traffic and a ton of engagement. Maybe we add that as like schema data FAQ powered section on the page. It's on the product page. So it shows up in the search results and the FAQ is listed there. From sort of a content cannibalization or content duplication perspective, I wouldn't worry too much if you're like, we got the blog post about this stuff and we have an FAQ on the product page that mentions some of the same stuff. That's honestly the way it should be. Like we got the standalone blog post, we've integrated that information elsewhere. Google wants to see that. So there's really not a wrong way to do it. I'd start by taking those questions and turning them into blogs. And then if you see like a hyper relevant opportunity, take that content and turn it into an FAQ on the product. But Alana, I want to hear what you share on this. You are deeper on the FAQ and the structured data than I am.
Well, and I've done this. I mean, so usually what I will do, because I get so many questions regarding like how to do things in Shopify and how to with my app. And so I have questions that come in through my support or through my emails and responding to my newsletters. And then I take those, and if I have enough of them, I will add them to my FAQs if it's relevant to the FAQ overall topic. So like I have 10 different FAQs across my website based on different topics. Then I will take, if it's more in depth than a simple response in an FAQ, I will turn that into a full-on blog post.
Nice.
And then here's the magic is you link both of them back and forth because you want the links between different pages. And so that tells Google this page has a higher importance. It's not some like orphaned page here or there. So I actually responded to this one and I was like, both, because you can do it in both ways. And you can do it where, if the whole page is an FAQ, you don't want to have your FAQ for one answer to be like 3 pages long. You want it to be concise so that they can see the next question. And then you can use a blog to better expand on that if you need to.
Oh, I love that. So on the FAQ, be it a product or a standalone FAQ, maybe you're just including like an excerpt. What are the 4 most relevant sentences? What's the valuable stuff? then you link to the 500 or 1,000 word blog post where it's like, let's talk about this in detail.
Exactly. Yeah. Because you can only go so far until like you can't see the next question. And then like if they're looking at it, they don't think it's like relevant anymore. So they may not realize they're on an FAQ anymore and they forget. So it's important to kind of link them externally onto a different page. And then that way you can provide as much content as you need, but you're able to give little snippets in your FAQs.
I think like in my perspective, trying to decide like which one do I start with first, I default to what's most helpful for my customers. So if you have like a really popular product and it's like people keep out, we get 10 questions a day about this one thing, add it to the FAQ on the product. If you're like, oh, people look at our blog often for news and information answers to our questions, maybe post it there, but either spot works well, both spots work well. Big picture, what's best for your customers?
Exactly. And then I have to say this because I would be silly if I didn't, but with JSON-LD for SEO, the app that I run, you also can add the structured data to the FAQs, which is really nice because then you can qualify for an FAQ rich result. So much like when Kai first did his search on Google for chocolate, there was the people also asked section. It's very similar to that, but it actually shows for your result instead of random questions. But then that way you might be able to rank for or not rank, but you show up as a rich result for a frequently asked question, which will link to your FAQ, which then can link to your blog post that gives you more information. So it all kind of feeds together and helps you as an SEO kind of overall approach of how you might handle it. Yeah,
I agree with that. The one thing I'll add is you don't need to do all of this correctly at once out of the gate. Like what we're sharing here is almost more of like an advanced approach to like you have the FAQ, you have the content, you're linking it together. Just getting started with like, we get a lot of support questions around this one thing. We're going to turn it into a blog post and see if we start getting some traffic there. That's an A+ job for 99% of the Shopify stores out there.
I agree. Yeah. Okay, next question. And just for those who aren't familiar, we have about 25 more minutes. I did book this one a lot longer because I knew we would have a lot of questions. So if you can hang out, we're here for another 25 more minutes. So feel free to sit tight and ask any questions that you have. Okay, next question is, I think there's some confusion on this. How exactly do you go into your Shopify and quote, create these long tail keywords?
Oh, that's a good question. So let me think here. Let's pop back to a keyword list as I just think here. So with the quick win spreadsheet, let me just pop over here. And let me know if I'm approaching this in the right way. Is the question like, what exactly do I do in Shopify to create a page targeting a long tail keyword, or how do I know which long tail keywords to target from this spreadsheet?
This is Krista who asked the question. So Krista, if you're still here, maybe you can clarify this, but I'm interpreting of like, how do you go into Shopify to say, this is the keyword I want to focus on, which is not how you would do it. I think your approach, Kai, is the correct of like, here's how to, if you want to write on a long tail keyword, then use that as a guide to create your post.
Yeah.
But you don't enter that necessarily into Shopify.
Yeah, there's no spot on Shopify. Like, there are some tools that are like, enter your focus keyword and we will score your blog post, but that's not like, oh, put it here and we will tell the Googles. Really the way, like, let's say we have a long tail keyword. We'll jump back to, vegan chocolate Easter baskets. And if we were like, we want to create a page targeting this long tail keyword, well, it could be a collection, it could be a product, it could be a blog. There's no specific page type. Collection might make sense here because this is like a transactional keyword, but really in terms of creating a page on your site targeting this, set it up as a page, it might be a product, might be a blog, and then make sure you're using this long tail keyword in the headline on the page, in the SEO title, the SEO section way at the bottom of the Shopify page editor, and then repeatedly in the content of the page, the product, the collection, whatever itself. And I'll often look at competitors for inspiration here. So, again, we're selling vegan chocolate Easter baskets. I'd Google this and I'd say, okay, we're not ranking for this. Who's ranking 10th? Who's ranking 9th? Let me read their content. Oh, it's both collection pages. We probably want a collection page too. It looks like Google likes those. Let's make sure we're mentioning our long tail keyword in that headline, in that body copy, and that SEO title. If you get it in those 3 spots as you're building out the page, that's the way to signal to Google, this page is about this long tail keyword. Really, so big picture, it comes down to you're choosing to write an article about the topic of that long tail keyword, be it, where do I buy vegan chocolate Easter baskets, or how do I remove collection URLs from Shopify? That's sort of the seed of the article you create.
And just to clarify, Krista, because you seem like you're like, oh, silly, I didn't know. It's a great question, because there are actually apps in Shopify that you can enter a keyword into, but they're not doing anything to help your keywords. All they're doing is, if you enter a keyword onto this page, and they're going to scan your page and say, do you mention this keyword? Yes or no? Like, congratulations, you got it. So it's not a bad question. It's just not how native Shopify works, because it's another tool that is trying to analyze if you're doing enough or not.
The best way to think about it is almost like, let's discard Shopify from the equation. We have a long tail keyword. We want to write a piece of content that's relevant to that keyword and at least as good as our competitors' keywords. Maybe we write that in Notepad or Google Docs or Word, wherever. It doesn't matter. Longhand by pencil. Then when it comes to getting it on your website, it's like, okay, let's make sure we mention that keyword in the title and the headline. We've mentioned it in this body copy, this content we've written about this term. And really, that's all you could really do, or that's what you should start by doing. Write relevant content, put it on your site, include the keyword in the title, the heading, and the body. Then give it a couple of weeks for Google to crawl the content and be like, what is this about? Oh, it's about this topic. Let's start to rank it.
And then this question is actually referencing your on-page optimization. So if you can go back to that slide.
Yeah.
I don't know. The question from Laura is if you can review the on-page optimization. There wasn't a specific question.
Yeah, let me see here. I remember mentioning that.
I think it was towards the end.
Here, I think it's bullet 3.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't have the question in front of me. So she's curious if we could review like these steps, how you think about this.
Yeah, I think let's just leave this up here, because we do have a lot more questions that I want to keep getting through. And so Laura, we'll leave this up so you can look at it. If you have any specific questions, feel free to ask. I'm happy to revisit the question. Yeah. This one is a little bit harder, and I think timely for what's going on, but tell us what you think about AI generating blog posts.
That's a good question. We unfortunately do not have 2 hours for me to go in depth on it. So I'll give you the TLDR. I don't think AI written content is necessarily that great. It's okay. What I do in my own writing and what I advise my clients on is what I'll call like AI assisted, AI augmented. So I'll be like, hey, ChatGPT, what are some topics around this idea? Or, hey, here's what I've written. Give me some different ways to phrase this or some different headlines. So I look at ChatGPT almost like a genie. It's like, hey, let me rub the magic lamp. Give me some insights. Give me some ideas. Then I'll take those insights and ideas and I'll incorporate it into my writing process. I don't really like the idea of like, oh, I went to ChatGPT or any AI writing tool. I said, write me blog post about vegan chocolate. And then I published it. Part of it is the AI content just isn't that great yet. It's good, it's close, it's freakish, but it's not as good as like a human with actual insight and expertise and experience authoring that article. And so like, let's go back to that vegan chocolate shop example. If I was like, oh, I want to write an article about 7 vegan chocolate ideas for Easter, I might go to ChatGPT or AI and be like, okay, let's brainstorm. Let's talk about this. What are some different examples out there? Then I'll consolidate that and write that article from my perspective, my experience, my knowledge, and publish it. So I think over the coming years, we'll see more and more almost augmentation, purpose-specific writing tools that are like, yo, if you're an e-commerce store, use our tool. We will help you write blog posts. But I don't think pure AI-generated content will work that well. Plus, Google keeps banging the drum of like, we don't want you to do pure AI content. We know how to scan for it. It will impact your rankings. So there's just so many signals out there saying, don't do pure AI content. Instead, use your experience and augment it with insights from these AI tools.
And I think just to hone in on that even more, if I may, is anyone else can go and do the same question to ChatGPT or whatever and ask and get the same article. Like, I think really what makes your content stand out is that it's your voice. And as much as I challenge myself with this all the time, as much as we forget that we do actually have voice, people do actually want to hear what you have to say. So yes. I agree with Kai. Like I've done it a couple times where I need an idea and I'll like, give me some ideas to write on. but I don't use it as like the main content. I absolutely write it myself. So I do think that there's value in your voice and your expertise.
Yeah, your unique perspective. I mean, jumping to a related topic, you might have heard of like Google focused on EAT, experience, authority, or expertise, authority, trust, and now experience. And like that's the competitive advantage when you're running an e-commerce store. You're like, yo, I use my products all day. I eat my own chocolate. I'm dog fooding it. I can tell you what's delicious about it, what to pair it with. No tool, no AI tool, no competitor probably could offer that level of insight, that level of experience and authority with your products. So yeah, I think that's what Google is looking for. And that's what your customers are looking for. Not, I put a bunch of keywords in and the AI spit out this content. But as I was thinking about it, as we were working on our vegan chocolate, we realized this, and here's why that's cool. And now it's sugar-free. That's what your customers are looking for. So AI could help you get there. AI doesn't get there itself. And Alana, I just want to echo what you said. Any of your competitors can be like, I entered the same question and got an article. And now what's the differentiator? There's none. You're on the same playing field. You need that experience, that authority, that expertise of your products. That's what comes out through the content you write.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. I have many blog posts that were former newsletters, so it's just not relevant. Should I delete them, redirect the link to a product page just in case there are backlinks to it, or keep them there?
You most likely can delete them. What I would personally do is look in Google Analytics over the last year and just see like, are there any of these that are getting like a trickle of traffic? I might leave those. If there are a bunch that are like, oh, 70% of these nobody's visited ever, you could delete them. There are like some more advanced SEO things of like, oh, look at a backlink analysis tool and redirect it. But for most of the Shopify stores on this call, you could trim that older content that's not getting any traffic, that you aren't seeing getting any impressions or rank for anything in a search console, and just say like, oh, we had 100 articles, 60 of them not worth anything. Now we have 40 that are worth something. And Google actually likes it when you clean up your site in that way. So most likely pruning that old content is the best path.
Yeah, but just to clarify, you do have to make sure you're not getting any clicks or input, like if people aren't actually getting to that page, because if they are and you just get rid of it and redirect it, there might be something valuable there. So full transparency, the transfer your domain from Squarespace to Shopify, I don't care about that keyword. I didn't mean to rank for it. It just sort of happened to me. And I want nothing to do with Squarespace anymore. So what I did, because I don't really care about the blog post, but I still get a ton of traffic, is I ended up adding a link to my actual Shopify SEO. So like the next stage, something else that might be relevant to them. And now that gives me my other page more traffic and more clicks that way. So you want to make sure that you're only going to delete them if you for sure have no impressions or clicks to it at all. Then I would totally agree with that. But if you are getting visits, do it so that you're not going to just confuse people.
Yeah, full agreement. Yeah, check the analytics, make sure you don't have any traffic, don't have any clicks, then you could prune it.
Yeah. Okay, so what do you do about using keywords if you have many products that are so similar that it's difficult to pick different keywords? So if it's a blue t-shirt with a team name, a blue t-shirt with a yellow band name, so on, is it okay to focus around the same keyword across multiple products?
Yes and no. So the honest answer is if you have a bunch of similar products like this, t-shirt with chocolate bar on it in red, t-shirt with chocolate bar in it in blue, in green, and yellow, you probably don't want to be focused on product SEO that much. You more than likely want to be focused on collection SEO, sort of one level up. And so like in this ham-fisted t-shirt with chocolate bar example, rather than saying like, oh, we really need to rank #1 for red t-shirt with chocolate bar, which is probably owned by Amazon and Walmart, et cetera, you want to compete for keywords like t-shirts with pictures of chocolate bars on them. And in that collection, you've got the red, the green, the yellow, the blue, the whatever. And instead you're focusing that collection on this relevant long tail phrase, bring traffic in that way. And yeah, you'll get some traffic to those individual products, but in my experience, you could burn yourself out so easily when it's like, we got 100 really similar products here. We got to dial it all in. Probably not. More likely than not, you need to focus on collections or blogs, bring people into your site through those channels with informational focused relevant keywords and blogs or transactional keywords and collections. And then they could be like, oh, sweet, I'm on a collection of t-shirts with chocolate bars. My favorite thing. I want this red one. And it's a much easier path for people to follow. So it's sort of an orthogonal answer. You might not want to focus on product SEO in that case. Instead, focus on collection SEO.
I have to 100% agree because I've been doing a ton of research on, so if anyone's done like searches for your products and you're like, how is it that, and sometimes you get the multiple images on Google search. I don't know if you all have seen that, but like if you just do a Google search right now for red 4-inch high heel shoes, you're going to do it for me. Okay, thanks. Yeah, just do red high heel shoes. If you look, you'll find, oh wait, it might be too specific. Take out the 4-inch. Okay.
Yeah.
Right here. So look at Macy's. See how they have those like the multiple images on there? I see that more often with collections than anything else. And it's because oftentimes those pages are using those keywords. They're looking for, Google is showing them when it's clear that this is a red high heel image shoe. It doesn't necessarily have to be keywords in the product, but I've seen it a lot in the collection title. And then I've also seen it a lot where it's super clear that the image is just on that particular item. So I agree with Kai on this one in that if you can focus on keywords that are relevant for a collection, that is one way to get a lot of your product showing up in images like this.
Yeah. Yeah. Product SEO is hard. Like there's often opportunities. And honestly, like the backstory, part of the reason I built this keyword research quick wins process is since I was like, I have 14,000 product queries to look for. My brain has melted. Instead, I'm like, oh, I got 300. That's still a lot, but I'm able to segment down and say, oh, these few products, those are the opportunities. But more often than not, Google's kind of looking for a collection. And this is why I love Googling the query you're curious about. Here, let's just do a quick scan through. Macy's collection page, Amazon collection page, Target collection page, Nordstrom collection page. I think of this as the thumbprint of the search results. If we see a bunch of collection pages or product pages or blog posts for a query, it lets us know, oh, Google thinks that's the most relevant content type. So should it be a collection, a product, a blog post? Google it and see what Google is deciding to rank, then create that shape of content. But more often than not, it's going to be collections.
Love it. Okay, I have products on multiple platforms such as Etsy and Amazon, in addition to my own Shopify store. Etsy in particular, which I have been on a long time, ranks #1 for search terms and displays my product, but it's always ahead of my website listing for the same product. Is there an opportunity to rank ahead of them for the search term? I suspect not, but I thought I would ask.
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked. Chances are no. Like, it's good to identify. I almost think of this as like the cost of doing business or the price of working with these larger platforms like Amazon or Etsy. What it boils down to is there's a bunch of SEO factors, but number of sites linking to you, number of unique sites linking to you, in fact, is a huge one. So if we contrast like an average Shopify store, maybe you have 500 people linking to you. With Etsy, who has something like 600,000 people linking to their site, when Google's looking at a query and is like, oh, what's the most relevant page to put here? They look at, 1,000 different factors. And one of them is going to be, hey, how trustworthy is the site? How many people are linking to it? And that's why Etsy or Amazon or these larger platforms often will outrank your Shopify store. It's not impossible to outrank them yourselves. I have seen it done in a couple cases, but it takes so much effort. It's like, okay, we're going to focus on this product page and we're going to dial it in perfectly over the coming 9 months to get it ranking higher for this keyword. For that to work, it needs to be a high volume keyword you're already ranking for. It needs to be very relevant. So unfortunately, in a lot of cases, customers are going to see your Etsy store, your Amazon listing first. The thing you need to then think about is, okay, if somebody comes in through the door of my Etsy shop and purchases this thing, how could I let them know in post-purchase messaging, in their package, hey, I got a Shopify store over here. You'd really love it. You should come visit, and bring them over to your Shopify store. So there's no easy answer. There's no magic answer. Etsy and Amazon probably will keep on outranking you, but you need to think of it as like, oh, my business as a whole, Etsy and Amazon, they're feeders. They're attracting people, and I want to then bring them to my Shopify store. Anything I could clarify on that, Alana? Anything you'd add on in?
No, I think it's a challenge when you're on different platforms and, so many people want to be omni-channel where they're in different places. And, but it's just like anything else, right? If your products are not cohesive, then you end up having multiple businesses that you're essentially running. I'm not running, I know, Jan, I'm not running a scarf company. I'm running a scarf and socks and t-shirts, and that's a very different thing to advertise for. So it's the same way, you're spreading out all your marketing efforts, and so it's just sort of the nature of the beast when you're in different spots.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I'm about to rebrand, what are the top 3 things I should focus on regarding SEO to help build it back up?
The first thing is I ask from the SEO perspective, is the rebrand 100% necessary? The second thing I'd ask is, can you rebrand without changing your domain name? The third thing I'd ask is, rebrands, as you can see, like they're impactful. They hit a lot of SEO things. I'm kind of averse to them. The third thing I'd ask is like, okay, you're rebranding. Are you also migrating platforms as part of this? Like, oh, we were on BigCommerce, we're rebranding and we're moving to Shopify. Like, all of these are major factors that make a rebrand kind of risky. Like, not even trying to throw like SEO fear on the fire, but most of the times when I see a Shopify store rebrand, they're going to have a drop in traffic for between 3 and 9 months, maybe up to 50% of their organic traffic will just drop out because Google's like, oh, this is a new site on a new domain with different content. We're going to treat it like a new site, re-index it, build up the trust, and it takes a long time. So again, the first question is like, do you really need to rebrand? Is there any other path than rebranding? Are we sure there's not another path? Beyond that, if it's like, okay, we have to rebrand, we are literally going to be sued out of existence unless we rebrand. Fine. Okay. From the business perspective, it's necessary. In those cases, as you rebrand, minimize your content changes. So as you're doing this rebrand, don't be like, we're going to rewrite all of our products and collections and homepage. Keep everything as close to the same as possible. Even if it's like, it's the same theme, looks a little janky. We swapped in the logo and changed the domain name, but all the content's the same. That's the best way to give yourself a firm base. So it's almost like a multi-phase project. Step 1, keep everything the same, but change the domain name. Step 2, after 2 or 3 months, start updating the content, update the descriptions, the products, the collections, the blogs. That's going to give you sort of the smoothest transition. So from Google's perspective, it's like, you're Wilbur Chocolate. I know all your content. Then it's like, oh, you're WilburPremiumChocolate.com. All this content looks the same. Well, it's the same site. We get it. And then as Wilbur Premium Chocolate iterates on the content, Google's like, oh, it's still the same thing. Maybe you have some fluctuations, but that's at least the quick approach that I'd recommend for minimizing the SEO impact. But even doing everything right, you're most likely looking at a significant drop in traffic. It'll come back, but that's just sort of the cost of a rebrand. It's not as easy as like, oh, I moved down the street, I'm forwarding my address. It's more like, I've moved to another town with a new identity. How will the postman find me now? It's going to take some effort.
Yeah, I'll just add, we mentioned at the beginning of this that I swapped my site to Shopify. I went from WordPress to Shopify in February. And I did exactly what Kai had mentioned. My website looks very similar, although it's different, obviously different theme and everything, but the content remained the same. But all my URLs were different. And let me tell you, that's rough. That's why actually, when you're looking at my search console, like it's all janky and things don't match up. And I have a whole bunch of 404s, even though like I went really hard on making sure that stuff wasn't going to be a problem. There's always going to be 404s. So I would agree, like be careful with it. Always, if you can afford it, work with somebody to make sure that you're following through the process and the steps, even if it's just a consultant, they don't have to do the work, but talk with them about it. I know Kai has done a bajillion of these before. It's the sort of thing where you don't want to mess it up, especially because it can be such a long time that you want to make sure that you're doing it in ample enough time for you so that you're not going to hit your busy season and then feel the pain of that too.
Yeah. Take an informed approach, really. Like, don't rebrand right before Black Friday. Don't rebrand right before a big product launch. I actually worked on an SEO opportunity report for a brand doing 3 or 4 million a year on Shopify through e-commerce. And they were considering a rebrand migration like this. And I was like, from the business perspective, this makes total sense. I understand it. from the SEO perspective, let me just forecast some probabilities here. You're looking at between maybe it's $250,000 less revenue to $750,000 over the coming 3 years. Knowing that, I still recommended they do the migration because like it makes sense from the business perspective, but it's important to know what the cost might be. And that's where an SEO consultant can often come in very helpful.
Yeah. Okay, we have like 1 more minute, so I want to get this last question in because I think it's a good question. Do you have any advice for identifying long tail keywords I should target for a new product? So not something currently on my site for what's already ranking for and how to optimize it, but instead for a new or future product, figuring out what keywords I should aim for when I'm writing the new product page. Is there a way to look for keywords around a topic that's not currently on my site?
Yeah, that's a good question. Search Console doesn't unlock that for you. Search Console is really just about content on your site. And so we start to get into a bit of like competitor intelligence. And I'm going to pull up a tool or two that I use. So one path you might do is just like starting to Google around for relevant keywords. You're like, oh, I have a chocolate basket. What are the different ways I could talk about it? And so Google around, see how competitors on Shopify are promoting a similar product. There's a tool called SEMrush, SEMrush, that could give you keyword insights on your site or a competitor site. And so that could be another way just to see like, okay, for a similar product out there, what are the keywords it's ranking for? There's one free tool I'm just going to pull up a landing page for. It's called Keywords Everywhere. And unfortunately, I'm in Chrome right now, and so I can't easily demo it, but it's a free tool. It's amazing for keyword research. What it does is basically add a widget on the right side of your Google search results, and it shows related long tail keywords. And so we're going to have to, imagine it. But if I search for something like premium chocolate, it'd have a little widget on the side where it's like, oh, here are 10 long tail variations, vegan premium chocolate, vegan Easter basket chocolate. It pulls from related searches. It pulls from people also ask. But I found Keywords Everywhere. It's a free tool. It does have pricing, but I get by with like the free plan or $10 a year. It's a wonderful add-on for keyword research. So as you're starting to do this iterative process, as you're like, oh, I'm adding this new product, what keywords do I target? Do some searches, have Keywords Everywhere running, see what long tail keywords it suggests, see what competitors or existing sites are targeting with a similar product. And then honestly, make your best guess effort. You're like, oh, I think it should be this. Write the page, write the product description, write the title. And then in a month, look in Search Console and you're like, oh, I want to rank for this primary keyword. We're 7th. Oh, that's good. Can we get up to 6th? Or maybe you're like, oh, we thought we'd be ranking higher. We're ranking 30th. Oh, what do we need to do to optimize? So really, it starts from this research process. Look at keywords everywhere. Look at competitors. Write your best guess of the product page content or whatever page content. And then look in Search Console a couple weeks or a month later and see, okay, we tried. Where are we ranking now? And then work on iterating that page and optimizing it.
Awesome. So we're still getting some questions in here about theme changes and regarding rebrands. I put a link in the chat for you all to see. It's a blog post about what happens when you change your theme. So please check that out. We are definitely over time right now, and I want to be respectful of everyone's schedule. So I'm going to wrap it up here, but Kai has his contact information. I'm going to share his link one more time. So if you haven't already gotten the free resource, make sure that you do that. There it is in the chat, and it'll be in the email as well. But feel free to reach out to Kai with any questions. I will be sending out the recap for the recording as well as the questions for you for feedback. Feel free to share any extra thoughts you have in there. If you have any more questions, I'm happy to send them off to Kai as well in case you don't want to write down his email at the moment, but we'll be sure to get that information over to Kai. Thank you so much. This was lovely. I hope everyone found this helpful. I know, like I said before, when Kai showed this to me, I was just blown away at the way he looks at keyword researching. And I really wanted to make sure that we share this. So I hope this was valuable for everybody. So thanks, Kai, for being here. And thanks for everyone else for showing up as well. Have a good day. Yeah. Take care.